about the Shroud of Turin. And, of course, I'm not debating whether or not it's authentic. I have my own opinion about it. But what I found interesting was one of the men that they interviewed said, do you realize that if that is authentic, that we know what Jesus looked like? And I thought, and that was an interesting point to me. I don't know that I think it's authentic, but I thought it was interesting thought. What does Jesus look like? Has anybody else, anybody besides me, ever had that thought? What does Jesus look like? I don't know. I have. I mean, I'm not sure Leonardo got it. Leonardo made him a kind of a medium blonde Italian. You know, I don't know, sitting at the table. I don't know. We used to have one hanging in the back of our church. I'm saying the back wall behind the pulpit. And he looks so sad to me. There's the Shroud of Turin. Cool. If that's him right there. I don't know. I didn't see I told Jim just find some pictures of Jesus, but that's a nice one there. You got the one where he's kind of looking this way like he's looking up. I don't know. Oh, behold, I stand at the door and knock. That's some nice pictures. What? You got a picture in your mind what Jesus looks like? I don't know. I wonder if anybody has this picture. You got that other picture, Jim, we were looking at earlier? Huh? The beast. Oh, I'm sorry, that gave it away, didn't it? There he is. What if Jesus looked like that? I don't remember his name. That's a Greco-Roman wrestler / martial arts fighter. Put a little beard on that guy. I think you got him. I think that's Jesus right there. All right? Now, you already saw the title. You already saw the screen up there. See, I don't know if everybody realizes this or not, but the Christian life is a fight. It's not easy. If it's too easy, I'm guessing you're not in the battle at all. I want you to think about this morning. One way or another, it's a fight. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. The Lord's Gym. I don't know if you can see that good. There, that's good. That's Jesus under the cross, and the cross says the sin of the world. And underneath it says bench press this. See, I like that right there. I like that because we picture Jesus as this, hi, my name's Jesus, and I wondered if you wanted to be saved. That's not my view. The guy I'm talking about walked into the temple, saw that they were abusing the temple system, goes back out, makes a whip, comes in, and says, hi, my name's Jesus, and I wondered if y'all would leave now. And they all said, yeah, right. He says, well, what if I beat you with this whip? And say, is that in the Bible? Yes, it is. He flipped the tables over and ran them out and said, you have made my Father's house a den of thieves. But he said it would be called a house of prayer. And so, see, I think Jesus was a little maybe tougher than we picture. I'm going to go to Ephesians 6. You say, you really? Well, actually, in all reality, I really do. But you realize it's not about a wrestling match. But I was going to preach on wrestling, and so before I preached this sermon, I consulted the highest authority I knew on the subject. TJ says, who are you talking about? I should have called TJ, but I called Scott. Here was my question. And by the way, where did Rachel go? Did you know what I was preaching on? How did you? She says, no. How did you pick blessed assurance? Isn't that weird? Okay, let me read the verse, and I'll tell you what freaks me out about this place. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Do you look at that? For we do not wrestle. You see where the theme's coming from now? We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this present age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. Paul wrote to the church at Ephesus and said, guys, we're in a wrestling match here. We are fighting demons. We're fighting a spiritual battle. So if you're not in a battle, you're probably not in the battle at all. Now, I called Scott up the other day, and I said, in wrestling, in kind of modern day wrestling, I said, is there a submission hold? And he was like, I think you've watched too much TV. Sleeper, I'll just, now you go to sleep. I don't know. I said, sleeper hold. That's what I was thinking. Is there a submission hold? And we talked about it, and then he calls me back. He says, I think I'm seeing where this is going. And so we talked some more, and he said, I think you're comparing modern day to ancient wrestling. He said in modern day wrestling has become a timed event where after a certain amount of time, he said, now if you pin your opponent, obviously you win. But if not, after the time limit, whoever has the most points wins. And I said, yeah. He said, well, it used to not be that way. He said, it used to be that there wasn't really the time limit. You wrestled until one person could not go any further. And he said that person imposed their will onto the other person through a physical fight. Wow. I said, yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And so Rachel gets up this morning and sings the song, Perfect Submission. Now, she didn't know what I was preaching. And I called Scott and said, is there a submission hold? See, submission in our world is voluntary to God. When you submit where you're supposed to be, when you realize the right order of things and you submit to God, I'm telling you, all will become well. When you don't, the fight is on. So, James, the book of James, chapter 4, 1 through 8. Where do wars and fights come from among you? He's talking to the church. You think there's wars and fights inside the church? I think there are. But where do they come from? Do they not come from your desires for pleasure, that war in your members? See, the war is inside us, guys. It's an internal fight. We don't wrestle flesh and blood. We wrestle principalities and powers and the rulers of this present age, this dark age, by the way. You lust and you do not have. You murder and you covet and you cannot obtain. You fight in war, but you do not have because you do not ask. You ask and you do not receive because you ask amiss that you might spend it on your own pleasures. Adulterers and adulteresses. Do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity? Not enemy, enmity. You're set at odds. The more of the world you want, the less of God you're going to want. And that makes God upset. And so we have this struggle going on. Whoever therefore wants to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. Do you not think that the Scriptures say in vain? Or do you think that the Scriptures say in vain, the Spirit who dwells in us yearns jealously? But He gives more grace. Therefore He says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Therefore, submit to God. Do you see the word? That means be in submission. Therefore, submit to God. Resist the devil. Resist. Put up a fight. Fight him off. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. That's a great verse. Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Let's pray together. Father, this is not a real simple sermon, but I want to move through it fairly quickly because I want to get to the real point. But God, the point is we fight a battle with the world, not people, not stuff, but the world, that lure that pulls us away from you.